Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum little kids. This is Shairoz Abdullah and now today we are going to discuss chapter number 3rd, means chapter number 12, class 10th physics, geometrical optics. We are going to take start with the 3rd chapter of class 10th physics, geometrical optics, right? Okay, if you remember in the previous lecture we have done with chapter 10 sound, all the exercise we have finished with it. Today is the new lecture of class 10 physics, geometrical optics, lecture number 1st. We are going to take start with the lecture number 1st. Okay, first of all we need to understand that what is geometrical optics, what is the historical background of geometrical optics, what is the meaning of geometrical optics. Let's start with it. The major work in the field of geometrical optics was done by Abul Hasan ibn al-Haytham. It is also he is also known as al-Hayzan, or we also call him al-Haysan, right? And he made a significant contributions in the field of optics, astrology, ophthalmology, physiology, philosophy, and mathematics and visual perception, right? First of all, we need to define what is geometrical optics. Geometrical optics is that branch of physics which deals with reflection of light, refraction of light, dispersion of light, all the properties of light and the things related to light, the instruments which are used to measure light and to find out the different things with light. So that is what we call geometrical optics, right? So we say the branch of physics which deals with origin, propagation, reflection, refraction and diffraction of light is known as what? Geometrical optics, right? So this was all about geometrical optics, a brief history of geometrical optics. And now today we are going further with the second topic, that is reflection of light. Do remember one thing, reflection of light means, the basic physics of reflection is the bouncing back of light rays after striking a certain shiny surface. When light rays strike with certain shiny surface, they rebounces back. This rebouncing back phenomena is known as what? Reflection of light. This is what we call reflection of light. Look, let me discuss it with example and diagram. Look, this is, we are having a rough surface, rough side. It's shown some dots over here. Okay, now this is what? This is rough side. Okay, an incident ray is coming like this and striking at point O and rebounding back like this. Let me call this incident ray as AO. O is point of incidence and OB is what? Point reflected ray. AO is known as incident ray, OB is known as reflected ray, and this O point is known as point of incidence, right? Okay, now what we do, the lower portion of this surface is shiny. Okay, what we do then, look, we draw a perpendicular over here like this. We draw this type of perpendicular over here. Okay, now the angle between incident ray, like this is incident ray, this is normal, in between angle is known as what? Incident angle. This is reflected ray and this is normal ray. The angle between reflected ray and normal is known as what? Reflected angle. Okay, now look, what is theta I? Angle of incidence, angle of incident ray and normal. What is theta R? Angle of reflected ray and normal. Okay, O is what? O is point of incidence, the point where incident ray strikes the surface. Okay, now what is normal? Normal is actually the line drawn perpendicular to the point of incidence, known as normal. Okay, let me recall it. The bouncing back of light ray after striking a certain media, after striking a shiny surface, known as reflection of light. Okay, look over here, we were having a shiny surface, upper side is rough, lower is shiny. Incident ray AO is coming, striking at point O and rebounding back with OB. OB is known as reflected ray, O is point of incidence, theta I is incident angle, theta R is reflected angle. Okay, Now this was all about reflection of light. Okay, now we are further moving with laws of reflection. These laws were presented by a Muslim scientist, Ibn al-Haytham. There are two laws of reflection. The first, incident ray, reflected ray and normal will lie on the same plane. Look, OA, OB and O all are laying on a single plane. This is what? This is first law of reflection. Incident ray, reflected ray and normal will lie on the same plane. This is what? This is first law of reflection. Now we are going to move on with second law. What does second law say? Second law says that in reflection of light, what happens? Incident angle is always equal to reflected angle, as that theta I is equal to theta R. This is what we discussed in second law. Look, the angle of reflection means theta R always equal to what? Angle of incidence, as that theta I, we can say that theta I is equal to theta R. Okay, this was all about today's lecture. Now what we do, let's summarize the today's work. If you recall back, so we have done with we have taken start with class 10 physics, lecture number 1, geometrical optics. Okay, now what we have done, we have discussed the historical background of geometrical optics, right? We have discussed that which scientist has a major contribution in the field of geometrical optics, and no doubt he was actually Ibn al-Haytham, right? We have discussed the definition of geometrical optics, that it's the branch of physics which deals with reflection, refraction, dispersion, propagation of light, right? So this is what we call geometrical optics. And furthermore, we have discussed what is reflection of light. We have discussed that the bouncing back of light waves, light rays after striking a certain shiny surface known as reflection of light. Detailed description we have discussed already. Then we have moved towards the laws of reflection. You know, do remember one thing, there were two laws. In first law we said that incident ray, reflected ray and normal will lie on the same plane. Okay, now the second law was theta I is equal to theta R. No doubt incident angle and reflected angle will be equal in what? In reflection of light. So this was all about today's lecture. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz, fi aman Allah.